Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. Hope you're having an amazing day. Starting off here, we've got the black pieces against a 1699 from Hungary. And then we got an E4, so let's go E5. I've been getting so much support recently on the videos. So many people commenting and liking it just means the absolute world to me. So I just wanted to let you guys know how grateful I am. And yeah, it just means so much. So we've got a knight C3. Going into the Vienna, and I think we'll play a knight c6 here and just hope to sort of transpose it into some sort of four knights or Italian or something, you know. So yeah, let's go with that. The Vienna's an interesting one. It doesn't particularly feel like an e4 opening. It feels like more of a d4 style thing, but with e4 instead, if you get me. Yeah, and they're going for the bishop out, so it looks like this is sort of transposing into a four knights Italian. At which point we know, I think we can take that and go for the fork there. So let's just go ahead with that. I think this is fine. I don't think they have any sacks here because the knight is covering these two squares for the queen check. I was at a tournament yesterday, a little blitz one, and it was just so good. Unfortunately, we had a crazy amount of snow where I live, so a lot of people weren't able to make it. So it went from like a 60-person tournament down to like a 12-person, and yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but it made it to me a lot more lighthearted and fun. You know, everyone just was there for a good time, which was great, and I got to play an IM, which was just amazing. Obviously, I got crushed, but I put up a good fight, I think. And it was a really good learning experience. So, yeah, that happened. And I think I finished on 5.5 out of 11, which to say a lot of the people there were really strong players. I'm super happy with that. I got some good wins, got some bad losses. So it was just good fun, yeah. And they've played a D3 here, and apparently this is called Bishop's Opening Berlin Vienna Hybrid Variation. Whatever that means, I have no clue. They're looking for a bishop there, I believe. So we could do a h6, we could do a bishop e7, or we could ignore it and play like a bishop c4, hoping for some sort of attack with the knight there. But they have many ways to sort of counter that, I believe. Starting with knight h3, or they could go there with a push. And this is just weird. It's a bit out of our area of expertise. Alternatively, you could look to get rid of the bishop with a cheeky knight a5, which is quite common in the Italian, which is very similar to this. Because basically, like, that's their best piece. So we want to trade that off, and this knight's not particularly doing much. It's covering this, but that's not under attack. So I believe a knight a5 could work here. They've got a bishop back, but maybe after a there. With a b5, everything's looking good. So I believe we go for that. That seems relatively solid. And yeah, they're likely... They could potentially do a fianchetto, but we don't even have to take this straight away. We could play like a c6 anyway, with threats of trapping the bishop, and then go for that. Now we could hold this off for a little bit, or we could just take it, and after h takes we push d5 straight away, frees up all of our pieces, which is probably the smarter thing to do, really. Probably the smarter thing to do. Just focus on getting a nice position. I don't think we want to push. We probably want to take and just leave this sort of mangled. And yeah, I reckon a bishop g5 is coming now. And maybe that leaves with the takes, and then they could always do that. So yeah, we've got to deal with this pawn after bishop g5, so probably just takes, and after knight takes, bishop there. And we're just looking at a trade-off there. They don't have time to castle and get the rook out to pin the bishop to the king, at which point we can just castle and fix that problem there. So this is just looking pretty even at the minute. Yeah, bishop there. I believe we just have to take this. I don't know if we would want to trade queens. I don't think we've got much choice if that happens. We're looking at a c6 probably just to stop any knight play, although knight takes is obviously all good, but if they decide to take with the pawn, then we would take that with a c6 afterwards, and then we have to, I believe, go bishop to e7 now. And actually, if you think about this, this is almost a Scandi sort of pawn structure. You've got no E or D pawns. So this is, I mean, it's obviously not exact, you know, I'm generalizing a bit, but if you're looking at this sort of thing, the bishop often comes here in the knight f6 Scandi with a bishop on e7. So we sort of know how to play this a bit. Obviously, we're threatening knight takes straight away. And I'm not sure if bishop takes or knight takes, we would take with the pawn or not. Taking with the pawn would keep the bishop pair, which is only going to be good, but then it makes our kingside incredibly weak. And I'm not particularly wanting to castle queenside with this open file here. So I think either way, we've got queen takes, so maybe that's the way to go. And we play light squared bishop versus knight, with some potential of an e-push. Just stopping that square as well, so if takes, then bishop takes, and we're threatening a few different things with maybe discovered a check on the king, but that's a long way away, and lots to think about lot to think about until that point. I don't know, words, never been good with them. But yeah, I hope you liked yesterday's video. I think it wasn't my best. It was a bit rushed because I had to record 2 that day, so apologies if it wasn't the most skillful detailed video, but it's better than not having a video, in my opinion. So yeah, that's how it was. I think maybe we've got knight takes here, and if pawn takes, queen takes, obviously we're threatening to win the bishop, so it would probably be bishop takes there, and we would have to do queen takes, and after pawn takes, maybe like an f6, and we have our pawns on dark squares here, so maybe the light square bishop could be good, but they're looking at a d4 break straight away, which is it could work. We could also do a h6, although this is hanging, so it is probably best to go with the old knight takes, bishop takes, and then after queen takes, we're covering this pawn as well. So that's probably the way to go, and just go into some sort of endgame here. Control the d4 square if you can. I don't think we'll have time for it after a d4 by then. But we'll see how it goes. I think that's the way to go. If takes, we do queen takes, bishop. Yeah, but they are smart, so we've not got that, unfortunately. But we'll play what we can. Ooh, that's relatively nice. Ooh, they have, unfortunately, knight there. However, that just seems like it's putting their knight on a dodgy square. They also have a rook a4 afterwards as well, so maybe we do like a b4, although then our pawn will be stuck on a light square, which is not what you want when you've got a light squared bishop. And if you don't know this, basically, if you're looking to attack, basically it should really be any time, but if you've got a bishop versus knight, you want to put your pawns, well, actually, I don't know, but if you've got, let's say, an opposite coloured bishop, if you want to attack, you want to put your pawns on their coloured bishop square, so it would be a black square in this case, and if you're looking to defend, potentially you want to put them on white squares, so your bishop can defend them. In this case, I think putting our pieces on light squares is just going to restrict our bishop's movement. So we want to put them on dark squares, I think. Although we've got to be careful, because it means if everything else gets traded off, we won't actually be able to defend our pawns with our bishop. So it would be effectively a king versus knight endgame, which isn't ideal. So it's really just tricky trying to plan these things in advance. You've got to be really careful. I think that could be good, but they do have lots of ways to kick us about. So is it really worth displacing this knight? And if we go like a c6, this knight's not really doing much anyway. So is it really that bad? I don't think so. I don't think so. I really want to not let them castle, but I don't think there's anything realistically we can do to stop that. So let's go ahead and play an f6. I think that's probably the best course of action. And it's going to come down to these three versus these three, I think. These are all sort of locked up already. So we want to sort of be focusing on this half of the board here. That's where all the play is going to be, and I think we're going to castle here as well. Just to be developed, we can get the rook on d8 with a tempo on the queen, which is always good. I don't see what that's doing. It's just a check. We could even trade off queens if we felt that way inclined. Yeah. The problem is they're doubling up with the rook. So if we go there and there, they're going queen d6, which is a bit annoying, and we don't really want to be playing c6 anyway. We could potentially give them the queen. That is, give them the pawn. That is an option. It's definitely an option. Whether it's the right option, I don't know. But it gives us some activity at least. We could even go there, although queen takes pawn there is viable for them. Queen there, rook there, and then queen has to go back there, I believe. But then rook there, maybe. Oh, and you're winning that, potentially. That's confusing. It could be the right call, though. It gets the bishop out with tempo as well. Maybe it's the right call. Let's go for it. I've been trying to get more comfortable playing down a pawn anyway. So, worst case, I'm going to get some good experience, you know. And sometimes that's all that matters, rather than a silly little online game. But yeah, I think this could be alright. Oh, we've got to be careful, though. After rook b6, the rook's hanging. So that is something we've got to be careful of. Maybe we've got a rook push or something. We also have a bishop d7, but then check again, and we've got the same problem. Yeah, maybe that was a bit of an oversight. Let's go for bishop d7. Just hit this queen as much as we can. We'll have to go rook c7. We're getting this pawn at least. Maybe even this pawn. So we'll see. It's going to be dubious. But I didn't like the thought of letting them double up with the rooks there. Yeah. And potentially they go for a repetition, which would definitely be in our favour. Not that a repetition's a very good result against a lower rated player, but I try to sort of ignore ratings, really. I'm not too fussed about a few imaginary points, to be honest. I'd rather just play a good game. But yeah, we really want them to take this pawn, I think. It gives us the most counterplay. If they go back onto this file, then we get the rook out here. It's probably going to end up in a trade anyway. Oh, they go queen there. That's interesting. And now we go rook b6 and look for a rook c6. If the queen takes that now, then their queen goes there, and then rook there. Looks interesting, to say the least. Followed by a rook there. No, we've got to sort of keep this pawn realistically. Rook b6. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it. It looks relatively fun. We also potentially have a rook c8 if queen takes, which would be interesting as well, to say the least. But we'll see. We'll see. See how tricky we want to get. Ideally, I'd like to hang on to this pawn because then it's going to be a bit of a wash up with these. There's potential for some back rank mates as well. We can sub block checks. That's interesting. Huh. Maybe we try hit that rook. Maybe we bring this across. Maybe we play some... hit this pawn, they push. Go back and hit that. If we move this as well, they're hitting that, which is scary. How do we attack this queen? Do we play a rook a5? Let's play an a5. Sorry, not rook a5, a5. That's what I meant. You can't legally get a rook to a5 in that position. So yeah, that's something. I don't really know. We wanna weaken these if we can. Maybe an a6, a4 could work. We've got really active rooks if we play an a4. Actually, that's quite nice. And they don't have any more checks other than a takes. But then we would take with the bishop to avoid any checks there. And then what we can do is move back there and cover this rook. We would also have this rook covering that square as well, which makes sense. And this is an interesting one. They're not very dynamic in their position. I think we are. I think we understood that all the plays going on this side, so we were ready to move over. Yes, we gave them this pawn, but I think it was better than letting them double up, and that would have made them really, really active. So their rooks are basically still on their starter square. I'm counting the castle rook as a starter square, even though technically it's not. But you get what I mean. It's like not in the battle. And then this knight needs to make 2 moves at least to get into the game, which is going to be good for us. They're looking to go there, but we have a rook a6 maybe even. So let's continue with the plan. We can hit lots of things this way. And even the knight there, like, it's still, like, covered. We just need to move the rook out the way. So let's continue on. And I think we're, like, even though we're a pawn down, we're looking decent. I wouldn't say good. But we're looking at least decent. Yeah, and we've not got any back rank threats unless they give us a check that way. And yeah, let's take with the bishop. They're going knight there, and we're just gonna go knight rook there, and that's fine. We got, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're just going to drop the bishop back. And we said that as well. The bishop can cover the rook. We want to try separate these pawns if we can. We have the rook in front of our pawn, so we can actually start targeting. And we're still going back there if the knight comes in. And yeah, this is not half bad. We've got a bishop coming in here, hitting that, and potentially even trading off for a more active rook endgame. Their queen's still not really doing much, and I don't think I would mind trading off this bishop for this knight. Yeah, it makes weaknesses. We can go rook c6 and then queen a5 as well afterwards, and just absolutely destroy this file. They've got nowhere really to trade off rooks either. They can't. We've got this file well and truly covered. So yeah, maybe like a rook d1, but we continue sort of with the plan. The knight can't go anywhere, so the queen would have to go somewhere. But then we've got the rook d7, which is super nice. So let's hit him with that. And this is all of a sudden decent. It's decent. It's too early to determine who's winning. We've got definitely compensation for the pawn, I believe, which is goal achieved. We wanted that. We wanted to learn how to play comfortable with a pawn down. I'm trying not to stress it. It might look like I'm stressing a bit, but I think we're all under control here. And yeah, it might turn into a queen endgame with a double pawn, which would definitely be interesting, especially because they've got back rank threats. So maybe we can do like a queen there. Sorry, a queen there. Hit this pawn after we trade it off. And then threaten a back rank as well, and win back the pawn immediately because they don't have the back rank because we've got the escape square on f7. So you know, we can live with this. And this is just what we said about controlling the knight squares, and that's what I've been sort of reading in my book as well, like learning why your pieces are good, why they're bad, what the position sort of calls for, and how to stop your opponent's sort of play. And we're just absolutely dominating this knight at the minute. There's not much that they can do. And yeah, you can tell by the amount of time they're using on this move. They're a bit stuck. Yeah, that's a decent one, I believe. I think potentially a trade of rooks could be in order. This bishop's still controlling this knight, although I don't think I would take it if it goes there. We would probably try threaten some sort of back rank hitting this at the same time. And I believe it could be about time to trade these rooks off. Yeah, they have a c4 push, which is actually kind of annoying. We could look for a rook a6, hitting this knight, but then it seems a bit misplaced on a7, a2, sorry. So after c6, we need to be a bit careful of our bishop, because we don't want to get blocked in. Potentially we've got a queen a6, a3. Gosh, a3. Hitting this, which could be nice actually. But again, a queen queen c1 covers quite nicely, and they're still doing the threats of c4. So maybe we just accept the c4 and trade off the rooks, and try our best to cover this knight in the endgame, and this passer, whichever one it will be, probably this b file. Yeah, we have actually a rook a2, because after queen there we've got queen a3 then. And then we're pinned to the queen as well, and then the knight is still very much covered, going into a more even end game. Yes. And then after knight there we can actually take, because the rook is covering it. And we're still covering all of these squares as well. Yes, let's go for that. Let's go for that. Rook a7. A2, gosh. I don't know my numbers or my letters. I'm just, yeah, gosh. Queen there is interesting. I think queen a3 could still work and let them sort of take. Although it's pretty scary. Maybe even a C, whatever that is, C6 could work. Queen a3 isn't as nice anymore because of the mating threats. Although we do have our own mating threats as well. With a push, although it's not as desirable anymore. Yeah, we could do a c6 here. We're still taking the knight. First chance we can get, really. Yeah, I'm struggling to find anything else other than a c6. We could, yeah, c6. And then we do still have a queen a3. So let's go for that. The bishop's a bit more trappy now. It's still covering the check though, which is nice. Pawn's covering this check as well. And the knight is still under attack after queen a3. Which is all good. Interesting move that. I didn't quite see that. I thought they would go back. They were on that one, I believe. I thought they would go back But yeah, that's quite nice. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's probably smart from them. I believe we're still going there. After a knight move, we do a takes. Pawn takes is pinned, so it would be a queen takes, and then potentially. Oh, queen takes with check though. That's the problem. Let's drop back. Let's retreat. The queen's blocking the pawn push, which is good for us, and we're running low on time as well. So let's try and maybe trade off rooks, just to stop any back rank ideas. Yeah. Yeah. Less ideal now. Less ideal. Definitely. And we just need them to play, really, because we don't have much time to think. We need them to do some mistakes, hopefully, because I think if they play this right, they can put some real pressure on us, and we don't have time to think about pressure like that at all, really. Which is definitely what you need in a really tricky position. But yeah, what can you do? We can only react, can't we? Knight there is interesting. That makes me want to go rook there now. Seems wise. It's still not threatening a push, and we're looking to trade off rooks, which can only really be good. Just to stop any checks and whatnot. They would have to go knight back there, which is again gives us time and space. Maybe we've got some queen maneuvers we can do after that and try to trade off the queen. A pawn there would be quite nice, actually. It stops a lot of things. But yeah, the knight versus bishop is yeah, their pawns are on light squares, which is good. Good for us at least. That's interesting. I don't really want to take, because pawn. It would be a pawn takes, actually, which could be good. Pawn takes, but then this pawn's weak, and then this square's weak as well for that rook. Maybe we just insist on the rook trade. Maybe we just insist on the rook trade. And we keep doing that, which keep trying to force the rook trade. The queen's still denying this pawn push, which is good for us. They've gone for it. And maybe we get a queen there. And this pawn is just on here is just stopping that. We just have to be careful because we can't physically defend it from the knight. Although the knight can't really get to it if it goes there, because that's blocked. So they would have to go the long way around, which hopefully could give us some time to get up there. Although we've got to be careful then of those. That's super interesting. Let's not trade off queens just yet. I want a slightly better king position. And if pawn takes, we're threatening to do that. And potentially get some perpetual. I'm not quite sure. C4 is scary. Although takes. We're threatening both of these, so we would get a pawn back, I believe. Super sketchy though. super sketchy. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good move. I believe that's not ideal. Let's do this little maneuver now. Let's do that now. Now the knight's committed to the b4 square. It's going to struggle to hit this d4. With this, they could have gone a different way round. Potentially something like that. But now it's going to be a bit harder for them. Yeah. And we just need to get this king as fast as we possibly can to this square. And potentially we could be okay here. We could go after these, although, like I said, the actions are all on this side of the board. So maybe we should have gone up instead. Although after knight there, I don't really want to be doing that. There, takes, we're good. There, takes, there, we're good. So let's just lock this up, and then maybe we can go this way. They're looking for that. So maybe we could push this and let the knight in. That could work, actually. That could work quite well. And then we're free to sort of hit these pawns. Yeah, that could work quite well. This knight's not doing anything here. Not for the time being, anyway. And our king's close to all our pawns. So yeah, this is it's not ideal for the bishop. It's a bit closed, but we are sort of routing in these directions here. We'll play a h6 just so we're still covering this square, but their king still can't get in. And we'll play g takes and then get our bishop into the game. However, we have to do it, whether we go this way or this way. We just need activity. That's all we really need. And this is a super tricky endgame. Down a pawn. We're not winning at all. But potentially we have some drawing chances. And I don't believe that's good for them. I don't believe that's good for them. After pawn takes, we go king there. And then we actually look to trade off the knight. Their king's not going to be able to get there in time. And after knight there, I believe that's good for us as well. We'll go bishop back, just so we're covering this fork here, which is a bit tricky. But the more we can spread out the pawns, the better, and open things up, the better our bishop gets. And if we keep our king along these clusters here, that's going to be decent for us. And they can't really push this without losing their knight. And as soon as they stop their knight coming in here, our bishop gets free all of a sudden. And these are going to be a liability for white. Yeah, so they try to break, which is probably smart. But we'll take with the king if we can. And if they go forward, we would take them. After king takes, we go there. And we win the pawn back, potentially. So this is looking more and more drawish, which is good. Which is really good. Sorry if I'm not really covering anything as well. I'm a bit stressed because of the time. But hopefully in the analysis we cover everything you guys sort of want. And if we've not covered anything, please do let me know as well. That's not ideal. However, potentially it's fine. If we go there, it's not particularly ideal either. Yeah, they fork us, which is nasty. So I believe maybe king e4 and just take this pawn after they've taken that. And the good thing is, if we can get this pawn, if we can get both of these, trade this off, all we have to do is sack the bishop for this pawn, and then we're drawn. So let's... Oh no. Careful, Jacob, careful. Let's take this check, and then we'll go bishop there, which covers the king getting in to this pawn, and then we're free to sort of divert our attention to this side, and our bishop can still come up here and cover all of this as well. And yeah, it's going to be tricky. Definitely going to be tricky. We might be relying on some mistakes from white here. But potentially we have this. Their upper pawn as well, but their king side, their king activity is just abysmal. So I think we might have some compensation. It's very possible we do lose this though. A push looks decent, although after a bishop there, we wouldn't want to do that. We don't want to trade off the bishop for the knight at all. The bishop's the only thing that's winning this for us. Not winning, obviously, not winning. Drawing, sorry. But yeah, it's going to be a long episode either way, so yeah, get comfy. The worst thing they can do is try to keep harassing us with the knight. Then the knight's really good there. It's stopping a lot of things. I think check is probably their best option so far. But the longer this goes on, the better for us. The better we can sort out our pieces and our king. And potentially, if the king comes over, we can harass this pawn, and then we've got our own threats, which would be good. Indeed. Yeah, they go for that, and this is dead drawn now. I believe. I mean, we've got to take it, right? Then we're just going to sit the bishop there. They've got no push now, and then we're looking to go f whatever that is, f6 g6, and we're just going to sit on this diagonal. And what we can do is we can actually trade off the things now, as long as we get in a pawn for it, because this h pawn is going to be drawn. The king can't get in as well, which is great. So after we go there, wherever they go, if they go there, we're going there. So yeah, we're all good, or there, depending. And we're winning one of these pawns, so it's going to be drawn. Whew, that was stressful. That was too stressful. Wow, that's a super good game though, super fun, instructional. Because the king's come up there, we've got to go to this side. So we can actually take a pawn. And now this is just dead drawn. Whew! Whew, stressful. Wow. Super good game. That was a masterclass, really, from me. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but yeah, I feel like I played that well. Yeah, this analysis is going to be crazy. So we just have to get this pawn for the bishop. Oh, yeah, we go there. We go there. So if they push, we just take. Yeah. And we stick the king here. So they had the idea of going knight there, but they don't anymore, basically, because we can just take it. I think they could have done that then, but we just sort of stick with it, and we've always got a few more chances as well. And I believe this could be a repetition here. Now the question is, do we go back or do we move the bishop? Ooh. Do we go back or do we move the bishop? I think both are drawing. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think probably go king there. They have no more knight there, so we're good. And it's probably just going to be a repetition. As long as we're covering this twice, then we're all happy. What are you doing? I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not going to offer them a draw because I think that's a bit disrespectful. But yeah, let's. We'll move our king down. We'll move our king down just so we try to get in front of the pawn, but the same thing still applies. We've got this light square here, so we're all good. We could actually take this knight, I think, and draw that way, but to be honest, I'm not 100% certain that we have the draw in that situation. And we'll go back there, just so if they move the knight, we can take. And yeah, I think we should be good here. We should have some checks on the king as well. But yeah, we just have to be really careful. We'll move the bishop back there just so we're covering this, and if they move up, we're covering the king coming in as well. There's not much they can do to get us off these two squares. If they check, we just move up. They can't do it. The king can't stop us. Can't get here or here. We can always just move the bishop there if we have to. And this is all good. I did miss that. I probably should have just gone up again, but it doesn't particularly matter. I think we've got it here. We're sorted here. Oh, that was stressful. So stressful. I believe we're all sorted, hopefully. Super good game though. I'm interested in the opening because you don't really see the Vienna much, and if I'm playing e5, I am sort of forced to play the Vienna a bit, which isn't particularly ideal. But yeah, the king can't do anything here. As you can see, there's nothing they can do to kick us from this square or stop us from wasting tempos. And yeah, hopefully they just repeat, because that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah. Whew. Scary stuff. scary, scary stuff. Repeat at some point, please. Hopefully I'll offer them a draw here because they're there we go, perfect, amazing, very very nice. Agree to a draw there, appreciate it. Whew, let's breathe everyone, and then we'll look at a game review, because that was super interesting. What have we got here? 85.5 versus an 85.5. Can I say any more? Wow. Yeah. If that doesn't scream draw, then I don't know what does. But we have the Vienna here. And we go looking for this sort of Italian. And we did exactly the right thing with knight a5 here as well. Takes, and then a d5 is good. It wants a bishop there, so you get your bishop out. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously best move, but you know. And it actually wanted a push, which is crazy. I'm guessing a push, and then knight comes here, bishop there, and you're looking for a c6. Interesting enough. And it wanted to throw in a check, which is crazy. I'm guessing you just go back afterwards. After that, exactly, yeah. So it's just a little pawn structure thing, I guess. Takes there. All good. Yeah. So this is when we gave them the pawn. It wanted queen there. Okay. Yeah, I get that. So you threaten to trade off queens. If they double up, you can still trade queens. You've got a c6 as well. Let's show the moves actually. Yeah, and they just take. But you take with the king instead, which is super cool. So then your rooks are staying on the same file. Makes sense. They take, and then we messed it up a bit here. We gave them a bit too much for the pawn. But he wanted an ace5 here, which I think we talked about. But we went with this move. The problem was that we can't play a b6 in this situation, and they wanted to just take the pawn there, and we get a bit of compensation, but it's still a bit iffy. What happens if they take the pawn? We just kick the queen about a bit, and we get some activity on these pawns. You know. And it wanted a queen there and looked to trade off queens, which is interesting. Still hanging the pawn, by the way. So let's have a quick look at that. Oh, because you're picking up this one at the end of it, which makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Queen e3. And then an a5. Again, it's wanting queen b4, which is super interesting. Just to hit this as well. Maybe you've got a bishop c6 as well. But yeah. And then it liked a4, a5, a4 as well, which I really like the idea of. Oh, and it wanted us to keep this isolated, so we take that and then threaten that as well. Got you. Oh, that's interesting. It didn't want that. It wanted rook back to b8, which I guess is sort of the same thing. But I really like the activity of the rook on a6, so I went with that one instead. And then, yeah, c6, I believe we made a bit of a mistake with, just because of the threat of the c4 push. It's not particularly nice. And white has a 2.5 advantage here, which we sort of suspected. And it wanted a bishop to e2, and I'm guessing you're just rerouting that way, which we can have a quick look at. Rook to e1. Oh, super nice. Is it super nice? Why can't they just take? Yeah. What happens if they're blocked with the rook? Queen d4. Oh, and you drag away the queen. Wow, the queen can't cover the rook anymore. Wow, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Wow. Yeah, and they gave themselves some room there, and we did exactly the right thing. And it wanted to go with bishop takes and just go into a queen rook endgame, which is a bit more flexible if you're down material, but like being low on time as well with the queens, super tricky. So I wasn't quite confident in that. And then after takes, we did exactly the right thing with queen d7, and it wanted to throw in a check there, which is interesting. It's gone from 1.4 to 2.4. So let's have a look at that check. Oh, and you do the same thing. Okay, fair enough. We had all the ideas right. We had all the ideas. Yeah, I think we made a mistake going there. I think we wanted to keep flexible to be able to go there. Oh, I guess it doesn't really make much of a difference because we can still go there in the same amount of time. But it wanted a c5. Oh, and it wanted us to go that way, which is interesting. It wasn't a particularly big fan of c5, but it's not bad. And it's looking drawish here. It's 0.8 for white. And we did exactly the right thing, bringing him back. Yeah, now I see it, bishop there is quite good. But I think it swings and roundabouts, really. Where are we? King d6. Yeah. Oh, and you go bishop there to hit that, which is really nice. And yeah, this is dead drawn now, which we sort of guessed. Although king there is a mistake. It wanted king takes. I guess that's just to stop the push, which is okay. There. Oh, and it wanted us... Really? It wanted us to go there rather than... Oh, because we can go bishop to f7 and hit the pawn, so they can't actually take this. Wow. They can't actually take that pawn. Wow. Super cool. I wonder if that shows it. No, it doesn't show it. Knight takes. Yeah, did the right thing. And then did the right thing with takes with check. And then bring the bishop down. And then, yeah. This is... It's able to be messed up, but yeah, definitely John. You know, I mean, black could mess it up if they had to, but when you get the king down here, it is extremely hard to mess up. You literally have 2 moves and then a bishop move as well. Like, it's not rocket science, to be fair. Yeah, I won't bother you with going over a master game because this is a long episode already. But yeah, that was super cool. Really enjoyed playing it. Super interesting, and I got to play down a pawn down, which is good. That's my goal at the minute. And it touches on what I've been reading in my book as well about about bishop versus knights end games and trying to control the other piece and limit their play while maximizing yours as well. So that's really good. It's a really instructive game. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. So without further ado, please like if you liked, please subscribe if you really liked, and I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye bye.